Hello artists, for this activity we are going to practice drawing mouths. So in the Google Classroom you'll find several resources for this assignment. The first would be the printout that will show you step by step how to draw and shade the mouth. 2 will be this demonstration video that you're watching, and 3 is the actual assignment. So on your worksheet you're going to write your name. This will be what you are taking a photo of and turning in at the end of the activity. Okay. Now it says follow along with the demonstration to create your mouth in the box below. So I'm going to use that reference guide and I'm going to create the generic mouth. Okay, so the rules that I'm going to show you are general, more of a guide to approaching how to look at the mouth than necessarily what exactly it should look like, because everybody's mouth looks a little bit different, and the reason everybody looks different is that's what makes us look unique and helps you distinguish between one another. Okay, so the first line that we're going to make is this very gentle M. It almost looks like a little seagull. Okay, we have a little bit of the bow to the lip here, and then a sloping down to the sides. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is create that midline. I'm going to start in the middle, right under that bow. I'm going to mirror that line with a little curve. Just a gentle curve, not a huge U. And then I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to bring this over to create the top lip. Okay, and then the bottom lip. I'm going to bring down from each corner. Make sure they're pinching in the corner. Okay, you always want those the top and the bottom lips to pinch. And then you're going to create that base for the bottom lip. Okay. Well, that is how you would draw a closed mouth. Okay, now I'm going to shade it real quick. And add the little line here for the top of your chin. And then just a little indicator where I'm going to shade for the dip above your mouth, right under your nose. Okay. So this center line where the lips are going to touch is going to be darker. Okay. So I have my pencil again laying on the side so I can get a smooth edge to that. I'm going to darken up that line and then I'm going to let it fade up. I don't just want to darken it and leave it be. I'm going to let it fade up. Now, as I go, I'm going to leave the middle just a little bit lighter. Okay, the edges are darker. I'm going to let it fade in, loosen up and lighten up my grip. Let that fade into the middle, just a little bit lighter. Remember, if you need to lighten up, you can always use your eraser. Lighten that up. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to shade the bottom. So we're going to shade the bottom light gray. We're going to leave that middle a little lighter also. And then we're going to shade around the line in the middle of the bottom lip. Okay. So we'll do the whole thing light gray. We can go back in and darken up where we need to darken up. And then I'm going to darken up the bottom a little bit here, not dramatically. Okay, just a little subtle darkness to the left and to the right. I'm going to let this line fade out a little bit more. And then this part's going to become just a little bit lighter. can go in and we can lightly shade inside of here. We'll soften that out. Shade the little skin next to it. Now I'm leaving a little bit of a space between a little bit of space here that I can go back with my eraser and kind of erase out a little bit. And then down here we're going to shade in a little bit of a shadow on that chin. And then I'm going to just lightly fill in the skin color here that I'm looking to create. Get the chin down a little bit more. And that is how you create the generic mouth design. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna do is use those same skills down here to draw and shade the two mouths. Okay, this one is a semi-open mouth, slightly different than that one. And then this one has teeth. So what I'm gonna show you right now, I'm gonna just sketch out the one with teeth. I'm gonna show you a little trick to the teeth. Okay, but just like we did here, we're gonna start with the top lip first. Okay, so no matter what you're drawing, just try to follow the steps. They're a little helpful. They're helpful in that way of the order that generally makes the most sense to draw. Okay, so this top lip curves up because she's smiling, and then the lips, they always kind of pinch in towards the side. So you want to try to find that little pinchy point. Okay, then the bottom lip is going to come out. Going to curve down. This one's going to come down. Okay, it's thinner here, and then as it comes into the middle, it gets a little bit thicker. And this is going to come down and out. Okay. So that's the approximate lip shape. Now, when we're looking at teeth, you want to think about teeth in terms of a whole row of them. If I start to draw these teeth individually, they can start to look very wonky, okay, and not lined up nicely in a row. So what we're going to look for is we're going to create this shape first. Okay, so it's going to come like one finger space out. There's shading in there. Same thing on that side. And I'm going to make these lines perfectly perpendicular. Okay, these aren't really leaning so much. And then the bottom edge of the teeth come almost down to the lip. So I'm going to start right above that bottom lip, and I'm going to curve this up. Okay, so now I've created, let me zoom you in a little bit here. Okay, so now I have created one solid shape for my teeth. Now I see my teeth. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I know that in this space I have to fit 6 of those teeth. The center line, that's dividing the left and the right side, comes pretty much straight down the middle. So I'm going to do that first. Okay, so then on this side I have to find space for 3 teeth. This front one is bigger, and then these back 2 are smaller. Okay, so this would be 4, 5, and 6. And over here it's very similar. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now they're positioned. They just need to be shaped. So let's look at the top. We have a little bit of a curve here, a little bit of a curve in between that rounds out the top of those teeth. okay? We don't have to keep those numbers on there. We can erase those out. Those are just a guideline. Okay, so those are, that's the top of the teeth. Now let's shape out the bottom. Okay, so this is gonna curve out. I'm gonna erase that bottom line a little bit so that I can barely see it. So this is gonna curve down. This one's gonna come down a little bit longer. Okay, this one's gonna curve. Teeth are very rounded. And this was gonna make this little V here. Okay, but again, it's following this guideline. Okay, so it's creating them in perspective. Okay, and then this area in here, that's all dark. So I could just shade that in around those teeth, and voila, you have some teeth that are evenly spaced, that look three-dimensional, they curve back into the mouth, and they're not all askew. Okay, so then what you would do is you would shade the rest of that mouth, those lips. Okay, see how it's darker at the bottom, and then it's gonna fade to a light highlight where it curves out. Okay, the edges are darker, just like we talked about at the top. Okay, I like this bottom part for these activities because you really get to put kind of the generic steps into action, looking at different shapes. Okay, so teeth aren't something that you should be afraid of doing. It's just something that takes a little bit of technique or practice, but hopefully this is a tip that will help you. Okay. And then just like we did with the eyes, if you want to add in some of the texture lines that kind of curve over, you could add those in over top of your shading so that they're not so glaring, but they're a little bit subtle. Okay, so you would finish shading that mouth out. You can really darken out the black in there. Okay, and then shade the top lip. So again, when you're finished with this assignment, you're going to take a picture of this worksheet, making sure your name is on the top, and then you will upload it to the classroom. Have fun.